on my class is that I'm going to provide you some solutions here. And we're going to talk about that elephant. And I say sleep stealers. So what's stealing your sleep? And yeah, hopefully we'll answer some questions. We got some questions in the feed, so I thought you and I could talk about those.
Okay, well, there were some really good questions in the feed, and what you and I just talked about was one question kind of leads into the next. And mostly everybody on this page is either going through or also has been through menopause via, naturally or through surgery. So, that opens up a whole other can of worms. But
it does. I was going to say Pandora's box, but
Pandora's box. Okay, can of worms. I really don't like worms.
Yeah,
I know they're good worms. So okay, so if we can start with maybe the first question, which happens to a lot of people, is just getting up to go to the bathroom.
And yes, this is probably one of the key questions that I get through my class at University of Richmond as well is, okay, I get up in the middle of the night and I have to go to the bathroom. And what is up with that? And it's not a problem until we start getting up, 4 to 5 times a night to go to the bathroom. And, even people that are telling me, well, you know what, I'm limiting the water that I'm drinking and I still have to get up and go to the bathroom. My first question is, are you drinking water throughout the day? So I saw you had your glass and I have my glass. And whenever my glass is empty, I go fill it back up again.
Yeah, I'm notoriously bad with this. I'm notoriously bad with anything that's required.
But you have to figure out why. And the interesting thing for me was I didn't like the taste of the water. Simple solution.
Yeah. I love water.
Well, I do too, but it smelled like chemicals.
Gotcha.
Okay? And that to me is offensive. And I understood, if I'm going to throw something in there, I have to read my ingredients, by the way. I'm very good about that. And I don't like those ingredients of what I'm going to pour in there. Why not take a simple step to just filter my water? And it's so interesting because that was suggested to me 17 years ago. She goes, do you drink water? I went, no, I can't stand it. And she goes, why? I said, it just tastes horrible. She goes, what if you could have really good tasting water? I said, then you couldn't stop me. Be careful what you say.
I just want to say that the chat box is open.
Yeah, please.
If anybody has a question while we're chatting, if you want to address that.
Yeah, by all means, please do. But the thing is to, again, make sure you're drinking throughout the day. My glass is empty. I fill it up as soon as it's empty. And think about this, and this is something I think very few people think about, is the electrolytes might be off, okay? So if you consume too much water with not enough salt, your body may be trying to jettison H2O. And that could be explaining why you're getting up, in the middle of the night to have to go to the bathroom. So here's a quick solution. About 30 minutes before going to bed, drink a small glass of water with a pinch, and this is key, of unprocessed salt, sea salt. I like real salt, R-E-A-L. And that's mined out of the salt mines in Utah. They don't do anything to it. They don't bleach it. They don't process it. You get all of the trace minerals in that, which is thousands of years old, by the way. And put a little bit of that with your water, and that unprocessed salt is going to help get that water into the cells. That's how the water gets in, by the way, is via our cells. And if you think about it, you go in the hospital, what do? They give you a saline drip. That's
really interesting that you bring that up. Well, first of all, I'm supposed to be on no salt, but I don't think a pinch is going to kill me. Yeah. I don't think that's going to raise your blood pressure, but this would definitely address waking up in the middle of the night feeling parched.
Yep.
And feeling like, especially if the heat's on.
Well, yeah. Yeah, and that's drier. So think about it. I need more water now. So what is a good formula? How much water should we be drinking? Everybody goes, 8 glasses a day. Well, you and I don't weigh the same. So it should be the formula, half your weight in ounces per day.
That's a lot of ounces in my case right now.
If I'm working out strenuously and I'm an athlete, some of my students in college are athletes, you should be adding another 8 ounces every hour you're active, because I mean they're really
Wow.
active. I'm not quite that active, so but yeah, I should be having to weight in ounces per day. And if I find that I'm drinking and I'm, it's coming right back out again, my electrolytes could be off. Okay, and that's that little pinch of salt, not just at night, but during
That
the
is such a
day.
huge, I never knew that. Like,
Yeah.
okay, so if I feel like my adrenals are stressed, I'll make myself an adrenal cocktail, which is a little bit of salt, cream of tartar, and orange juice.
Mm-hmm.
And that usually, picks me up or does the trick, or then I just have to stop what I'm doing.
Yeah.
But I didn't realize that that could be helpful at night.
Yeah.
Before you go to bed.
Before we go to bed.
That's really interesting.
But think about it. If you're doing it all day long, you don't need to really worry about it. And for me, the magnets have been, and if you are interested in that, I'm not going to be doing a commercial here for them. But if you're interested, I use them and they help with incontinence, by the way.
Good thing to know. Good thing to know, because a lot of that, I mean, I have asthma, and if I get up and I'm coughing, that's like, I'm like, shit, I can't believe this just happened.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
It is terrible.
I hate when it happens, and
don't we all?
it's not fun.
Yeah, so what I do, it's a little magnet I usually wear on my back. I flip it around. I have it on my stomach right now because my stomach is feeling a little this morning. So, but yeah, they help with incontinence. So I go to bed with this, and it's usually on my back, and about halfway through the night I flip it over so that I don't have to get up and go to the bathroom. So pretty cool.
That might that might be a call after the call.
I know, right?
Okay, so the dog gets me up. I mean, Benny's on some kind of crazy schedule, like.
And yes, this is leading into that, because I had, believe it or not, I have in my notes, the dog gets me up to pee.
We've got the same notes.
So yes, we do. Again, if Benny is on a schedule and he is getting the amount of liquid he needs, and when you get your liquid, he should be getting his liquid. And if you want me to, I'll look up the salt with animals. I'm not sure about that. But
he drinks a lot. He drinks a lot, and he's an older dog.
He's an older dog, but he's smaller. So what I might get is some, how much electrolyte would a dog need? And I'll get you that information. But he also could benefit from the magnets. We have a little doggy bed. But yes, so maybe he's getting up because he's having trouble controlling his bladder. And, and again, if we're making sure we're going to the bathroom and the dog's going to the bathroom, it's kind of like your children, you get them all dressed up in the winter, and I got to pee now. Are you kidding me?
I mean, I've got these 1:30 in the morning walks that he gets me up when I hear the scratching at the door.
Not anymore, because we're going to be working on him and his schedule, and we're going to combine those two schedules, yours and his, so that when you sleep, he's sleeping.
Good idea.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about that.
Okay. So what was one of the next questions? Let's see. Hard to fall asleep, but get up early. I fall asleep early, but I get up. But part of that is probably the electrolyte thing, which makes 100% total sense.
So it could be very well. I'm sorry. The insomnia part. Yeah. So insomnia is two things. It is having trouble going to sleep and also having trouble going back to sleep. And what we have to do is we have to figure out, exactly what's going on with that. And I would say probably the most common reported sleep disorder is insomnia, by the way, FYI. Having trouble falling asleep or staying asleep, or the inability to get quality sleep throughout the night, up and down, kind of like a roller coaster. And there's a Dr. Nyaman who I refer to in my, if you want more information, just, message me or in the, message here. It says write a comment, or you can do it in the chat box, which you have open. But, he talks about one of the most common causes of insomnia is a condition called cognitive popcorn.
Excuse me, what is that?
And so cognitive popcorn is pop, 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 pop. All of these things are popping into my head while I'm trying to lay down. I call it the annoying roommate in my head.
Right, and that was one of the other things that led into like having a busy mind and not being
yeah.
able to shut off. And I'm sure a lot of this has to do with electronics
It does.
the bedroom.
It does. But at this point, we're trying to lay down. Maybe we don't have the electronics going, okay? We don't have the phone or anything to interrupt right now. We had our water, so we're good. We had our little pinch of salt, we're good. But it's trying to go to sleep or trying to go back to sleep. And all of a sudden, your mind starts just producing all these thoughts, okay? So what we need to figure out is where the noise is coming from. If the noise is conceptually greater than your level of sleepiness, you will not fall asleep. And by the way, noise falls into three zones: the mind, the body, and the environment. And I'll give you an example. You know, you're energized during the day, you feel passionate, you want to move about, you're productive, and so on. That's great. But if that happens during the middle of the night, that becomes a noise.
Oh, okay.
So where's it coming from? Figure out, is it environmental? Is it pain? That's a noise in my body. I'm in discomfort. Okay, well, you need to address that. It's not just those unstoppable thoughts or that annoying roommate. You know, it's something environmental. Again, you know, could be a snoring partner. We need to get to that, by the way, too. That was another problem. Could be music, could be lights. Too hot is a kind of noise. So what is my room temperature?
Really interesting.
Below
I have to sleep in a
7,
cool room.
yeah, below
I
70 is ideal. Below 70 degrees Fahrenheit is ideal. That's a kind of noise. It could be a pain in my body. It could be discomfort. It could be indigestion. Well, I shouldn't have eaten that right before I went to bed. I'm paying for it now.
I had a friend when I lived in, she's still my friend. When I lived in England, she was from Yorkshire, and she, no matter how cold it is, she sleeps with the windows open. Yeah. You know, I can't hear because I've got ambulances and stuff outside my window, which is disturbing.
Yes,
another noise.
It's another noise.
But I have, could be the mattress. I have a memory foam mattress. Which does produce a certain amount of heat.
Yep.
I have a cover over it.
Yep.
I'm not a nightgown person. I need pajamas. Okay. I like pajamas. But I can't wear anything heavy to bed. It's still like a t-shirt and, you know, some yoga pants or something like that. Something light.
Yeah.
And my blankets are not really heavy either.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, interestingly enough, in the morning, if it's in the wintertime, and this might have something to do with it or not, you know, I'll put the heat on. But mostly during the night, you know, even if it's super cold, unless it's like below freezing, my heat's off at night.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and that's what we need to figure out. I call it our Goldilocks zone. Okay. So what's the perfect temperature for me? Okay. What is the perfect hours of sleep that I need? And we do figure that out through a journal. I have my clients, my students do a sleep journal. And that sleep journal includes everything: what you're eating, when you're eating, the temperature of the room, the emotions. All of this is, by the way, emotions could be a noise. Okay. Caffeine or residual caffeine could be a noise. It's because it's saying, oh, we're crashing here, need more caffeine. Yeah, that could happen hours later.
Interesting.
So it really is figuring out, and I love doing the journal, and we do that, you know, not a chart. We're not treating the chart. It's subjective because I need to know. It is online, so thank goodness for that. My students do like that. You don't have to fill it out by hand. You can type your answers in. But it's important to understand, you know, where you are emotionally, environmentally, where you are nutritionally, what does your bedroom look like? Do you have all these cords underneath your bed? And, you know, And the insomnia trouble could, let's go right into this one, could be that I got up to go to the bathroom, okay, and I've looked at my phone and now I can't go back to sleep.
Yeah, guilty.
Well, what happened was that backlight on the phone immediately turned off your melatonin and said, guess what? It's daytime. It told your brain it's daytime.
Wow. Yeah.
Turned it off that quick.
Interesting. Yeah,
So,
I mean,
yeah.
yeah.
So we've got to
I have a
find
friend.
others. We've got to find other things to do, like meditation. Ooh. You know, doing a mindfulness exercise where I'm going through one side of my body, starting at my foot, and I'm going all the way around to the other side of my body, and I'm doing a scan to see how I'm doing. You know, how are my muscles? Are my shoulders up? Are they down? Am I relaxed? And this scan, you know, helps me to understand exactly where I am in the present moment and relaxes me. So there are other things we can do other than look at our phone.
Right, or the computer. And,
The computer.
you know, the other part of this is a lot of my friends, and Pascal, if she's around, she's probably busy with my stuff right now. She's in Berlin. Sometimes we'll have a conversation, or Cheryl's in Cyprus. And a lot of times there's conversations in the middle of the night. We do have something called Boxer. And Boxer is great because you don't always know when you can have a conversation with somebody. In human design, I'm a projector, so I'm a mental projector, so we soundboard. So if there's something that's on my mind or there's something on her mind, we will put it on a Boxer where we can listen to it when we have the time or the energy, and it's not, you know, here's this this construct that we have to answer everything immediately.
No.
Like immediately.
Yeah, we don't.
And we don't. And I think we just got so hooked into the technology.
Yeah.
That, you know, if somebody doesn't get an immediate answer, I mean,
Yeah.
I asked somebody a question 3 weeks ago and they just answered it yesterday.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you know what I mean? So
it is prioritizing, and we have to be really mindful. There's that word again, that we're not overtaxing ourselves. And I'll actually upload it after we finish today. It was an interesting blog that I wrote. One of my students, they have to write a paper if they miss a class, and her paper was entitled, "I'm Not Allowed to Sleep." And I've covered a multitude of things in this because it just hit me so hard. And I was just floored when I read that title and thinking, what do you mean you're not allowed to sleep? So, but yeah, I'll definitely upload that. But it just, I get into the semantics of, you know, what exactly is going on. That's so important that you're not allowed to sleep, and yet everybody else on this planet is allowed to sleep right now. So, and I won't get into that because I could go off.
Well, but here's something I want to say to that.
Yeah.
There's something that I want to say to that. Okay, so like, okay, for instance, I'm going through an appeal with unemployment. Okay, you know, they shut their computers down at the VEC at 4 o'clock.
Yeah.
They're not losing sleep over me.
No, ma'am.
So I've started a practice of at 5 o'clock, like it's a regular working day, I'm off.
Yeah.
And you know, nobody's losing sleep over me. Nobody.
No.
Like, why
should you, right?
Why should I? I asked myself that question a couple of weeks ago. I'm like,
good.
What am I doing? I'm like, this is crazy. Like,
yeah.
You know, this shouldn't be keeping me up at night. The mail comes when the mail comes. The thing is when the thing is, and I'll deal with that when that happens. But, and also with the electronics, my bed happens to be a very comfortable place where I have a little table, like where I have my computer now, where I can write blogs, and it's super comfortable for me. It doesn't hurt my back or anything else like that. So that's where I do a lot of my writing.
Yeah.
And my phone, and the wires are under the bed. Yeah. And like, I have a 700 square foot apartment. I mean, it's not that big. you know, what would be the end of the world if the phone was in the other room?
Exactly.
Like,
And
what's going to happen is, you know,
tomorrow, the sun will come out tomorrow. I would start singing, but you don't want me to. Um,
okay.
but yeah, exactly. So, and that's what I'm having my students do and my clients is putting it in the other room, or as I'm doing, turning it completely off. If that upsets you, what you can do is put it on airplane mode, and you will not get any pings, dings, or rings.
Gotcha.
Okay, so airplane mode is a wonderful, solution I got my alarm, because my students get real upset. It's my alarm, and I needed to wake up, and okay, just don't put it under your pillow. Oh, goodness gracious.
I can't even imagine that.
Yeah.
So we were going to get into snoring, and then there's menopause.
Yeah.
Because,
there's that good thing, right?
Yeah, menopause and stress cortisol.
Yep.
And the weight gain and all of that, because I mean, I've just gotten huge. I've just blown up like the Willy Wonka blueberry. What's her name? But
yeah. Well, and it's let's go with snoring, I guess, first. And it's very interesting that came up, because my husband does snore, love him dearly, but because I have been working on some challenges the last 3 years with my thyroid that went off the reservation, I had to go into another room to get some sleep, because I realized that after I sat up in bed one night, yelled, "Are you serious?" that I needed to get my sleep, because I was getting angry, and I did not want that to happen. So you've got to figure out a way that you're getting your sleep. It's very important that partner not be disturbing your sleep, because you cannot make decisions. You cannot handle stress, any kind of stress, when you are sleep deprived. What's interesting with the snoring, it was May 2008. It was a sleep disorder study, and they found that matcha green tea reduces conditions such as memory problems and confusion. But this study that was published University of Louisville researchers, American Journal of Respiratory and Critical Care Medicine, was led by David Gosel, and he's professor of the director of Kosser Children's Hospital Research Institute. And he found that the compounds in the green tea seem to make the brain less susceptible to oxygen loss.
Wow. So for people with sleep apnea?
So yes, so caused by sleep disorder breathing, it supported other research that suggests that green tea may have a therapeutic value here. It contains something called epigallocatechin gallate, say that times, ECGC. And
I've seen that, yeah.
And it's got L-theanine in it, okay? And boy, by the way, L-theanine increases that portion of alpha waves in the human brain. So it's kind of a double whammy there, that the green tea is really helping to support the oxygen. And I was just fascinated by this study. But again, you need to figure out, what's happening with the snoring, okay? Is it more of a weight problem? And I'm not trying to be ugly here, but I actually talked to a pulmonologist one time at a convention. She was telling me that it could be the thickness of the neck. I said, really? She goes, oh yeah, that has a lot to do with the fat, and it's vibrating, and that's what you're hearing. It could be to do with allergies, okay, because I do snore. I don't think I snore in quite a while, because I don't know. Nobody's told me. Nobody's been beside me to tell me, hey, you're snoring, shut up. But yes, if I'm maintaining my sinuses are clear, okay, my allergies are not, off the chart, that could be part of the issue. So really, it's all about balance. It's looking at different areas. Again, the noise, this time it's snoring. Where's the snoring coming from? Well, my nose and my mouth, okay? So are you a mouth breather because you can't breathe through your nose because your nose is stopped up? Oh, maybe.
That's what happened this morning. I got up and my nose was stuffy.
So,
and I did a sinus rinse.
So we need, there's a great solution right there. Okay? We can look at the different supplements that can help with that. I choose the barley grass that I take that helps with my allergies. I've been doing that for 17 years now. Yes, I still have occasional issues, not like what I did. Oh, I had sinus infections, all the time.
Yeah, that is really good, and like the sinus rinse is really good.
Yeah.
As well.
Yeah. So again, why are you snoring? Let's figure that out first, okay? Because we don't want to just put a Band-Aid on this. Let's figure out what's going on with the whole body. And this is what we talk about with holistic medicine or homeostasis. We're looking at the whole body, and not just the body part. We're looking at spirit, mind, and body, because it all works together. You know, we're looking at the environment. That is going to affect my sleep. That's going to affect this snoring as well. Maybe we were talking earlier about an air filter. Maybe that's what I need in my room. Okay.
Yeah, I just got one, and I have to say, well, it was given to me, and I just got new filters, even though part of it doesn't work very well.
Yeah.
And I haven't been able to replace it, but I could definitely see, we talked earlier before we went on,
yep,
about the level of dust that was reduced was like enormous.
I don't see the little specks anymore when the sun comes through. Yeah, that was pretty
crazy.
Cool. Yeah, and again, I have a resource for that if someone's interested and they want to know more about that.
So night sweats in menopause, and excuse me, I'm going to use a tissue because I shut my air off because it's so loud in here that I wouldn't be able to hear anything, and neither would you.
Yeah.
So I used to get night sweats, and I don't get them anymore, thank God.
And I did too. And that really is about thermal regulation. You know, our sleep depends on light and it depends on temperature. Those are the two keys here to help with sleep, what we call sleep organization. And if we want to achieve better sleep, then we need to look at those two things. So that temperature. So am I overheating? Yes. Okay, what can I do about that? Well, again, there's certain things that you can do to help the body cool down. Thermal regulation. So I can get a comforter that has far infrared energy or technology in it. And that thermal regulates me, cools me down, warms me up. It really depends on what my body needs. It's reflected back inward towards my body. I can look at the temperature in the room. I can, go on my phone before I, go get ready for bed, figure out, hey, it's not going to get much cooler tonight. I'm going to, turn that air down a little bit. Okay. So, or I can put the fan on. That's going to kind of help, redistribute that hot air in my room. But I can also sleep on something that's going to help thermal regulate my body. It could be that, just something as simply as taking a shower before I get, maybe an hour before bed. And what that does is when I get out of the shower or out of the bathtub, my core temperature drops. And you know what? That's a cue from nature. And we've pulled away from nature. We used to be in it. I get that now. We can't just go sleep outside like we used to. But we used to get we used to get cues from the earth cooling down that it was time to go to sleep.
Interesting.
We would get the cues from nature of light as it got darker. That was cueing my brain and the skin temperature on my body that it's time to go to sleep.
Really interesting.
Yeah. So, and this is Matthew Walker. He's he's an amazing. I can give you his information if I'm interested, but he's with UC Berkeley, and he's done wonderful studies with indigenous Indians and hunter-gatherer tribes, and why they don't seem to have the issues we do. Well, yes, they don't live in a digital world. Okay. Can't do anything about that. Well, yeah, I mean, some people turn the breakers off at night. If I'm not using upstairs, which, the lights, I'm not using the washer or dryer, hopefully, at 2 o'clock in the morning, I can turn the breakers off. I can turn the Wi-Fi off at night. I can put a box around it.
I know somebody that does that in Denmark. She shuts the Wi-Fi She shuts the Wi-Fi
She
off.
shuts the Wi-Fi down. Smart lady. I don't, because my husband depends on that because of his work, and they unfortunately sometimes call at 2:00 in the morning, which is another reason that I had to find a different room to sleep in, because it would ultimately wake me up. And being that I'm going through the problems with my thyroid for the last 3 years, I understood how important sleep was for me to heal, to get in what we call a parasympathetic state, and that's the rest and digest state. If I'm not in that, I can't sleep.
Hmm.
So yeah, so we're getting a lot of things depend on that, not just the light and the temperature, but meal timing, sleep timing, menstrual cycles, making love, reproductive cycles, as well as the external environment cycles and rhythms of nature itself. We've turned it on its head in a modern world, and it's one of the main causes of fatigue is circadian rhythm disruption. And for some, it is possible to rebalance hormones and heal adrenal fatigue, which Lisa had talked about, just by fixing sleep and circadian rhythms.
Well, I'll tell you something interesting. Well, I just got my blood work done yesterday. I don't know what she's going to say when I speak to her next week. And the COVID thing had something to do about this. I remember I was telling you, I think before we went on, when I was working in the kitchen over at Good Foods, I had to be there at, I would have so much anxiety driving into the sunlight that was blinding sunlight at a certain hour. Just things like that. But with the COVID thing, not having to get up, I'm not there anymore. So I don't have to be there at 7:30 in the morning. And so it's like, it's kind of like, all right, if I want to stay up late and watch something, I can do that.
Yeah.
And we tell ourselves all these other things because it's like party time for the body. We think it's party time for the body because everything's so disruptive. And then we had to learn how to adapt to things being different, people working from home.
We do.
Things like that. And one thing that, I've practiced, well, I don't have TV. I mean, I do find out the news. Is not watching that stuff before you go to bed, no matter what it is. It can't be good. Or even if I'm going to watch something, I try to watch something that's entertaining or funny or makes you like, stupid love story or something. Something that's feel good movie, and just something that I can turn off from, because I think, one of the things that I know from human design, and especially if is these different aura types, and for two of the aura types, like I'm a projector, projectors are 22% of the population, we're told to sleep alone.
Yeah.
That you're going to wake up more as yourself, and you're not going to have the energy and the aura from the other person bombarding you.
Yeah.
That's a whole other conversation.
That's a whole nother time that we could definitely get into that conversation. I have a friend of mine that probably might like to join us on that. But yeah, it really is just understanding that things have changed, and we talked a little bit about this with COVID here now, that we have to learn to traverse and pivot and really navigate what's going on. But what we don't want to happen is we don't want it to disrupt the normal process of our daily habits. And that's what it's done. So, I can stay up later because I don't have to go into work so early now. I can get online later to do all of my podcast or whatever you're doing. You want to keep that same schedule, because what that does is it sets the biological clock or our circadian rhythm. And that's what these hunter-gatherers have done, is that they're in sync with nature. We are earthlings, and we live on an earth that we're no longer part of.
That makes a lot of sense.
We live in buildings with concrete floor slabs, and we can't get the amazing benefits of the magnetic earth. And we're not outside, unfortunately, today because it's raining. So I'm not getting the benefits of that beautiful sun today. And I'm not getting the vitamins of the air, which we call negative ions. So what I do is supplement that until I can get outside. I do have a full spectrum light, so I can get the daylight, or really just, it's a replication of daylight, okay? But it's still helping with SAD, seasonal,
Right.
affective disorder. So there's so many things that we can do in our, and that's why I help people build a universal toolkit. Lisa, what do I need in my toolkit? Well, let's sit down, let's talk. Let's figure out what you need. Let's do a body scan. Let's do a journal. Let's figure out, and I can't just say, hey, just try this without really knowing you. And
Right.
that's how I get a baseline through doing the journal with people. And no, my students kind of get a little irked because they have to record so many things, but it's giving me a baseline of where to start from. If I don't know where to start, I'm just throwing spaghetti against the wall here, right? Just hoping it'll stick.
So, okay, so if anybody wants to get in touch with you,
Yeah.
what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be putting together a gift shop here, because a lot of the people on the page, which this happened so fast, this page, it's crazy. There's chefs, there's caterers, there's people that do, I don't know if I think you might be the only person that does the work that you do. Oh, and by the way, you do emotion code, which is great. We didn't talk about that.
No.
You know,
Show.
yeah. Well, I think it's a great resource to avoid the stores, and I prefer to, if you want to call it buy local, even though we're online,
Yeah.
support other women. So how can people get in touch with you
So
if they want to talk to you about it?
okay, so and right now I apologize. I'm getting a lot of spam calls. So please leave me a message, or you can Facebook me through message through Facebook. But you can reach me on my phone. You can text me 804-539-3251. You can email me at lisa@lisahealthy.com. And my website is lisahealthy.com. I'm actually revamping that right now and getting a lot of blogs out there to do with sleep and emotion code, and actually do Sedona method as well. And I do that in conjunction with emotion code. Very good with helping with false belief systems and the emotions that keep us up at night. So that's another thing that is a sleep stealer, or those emotions. But yeah, they can get in touch with me that way.
I think I'm probably going to sleep better tonight.
I hope so. If not, we're going to talk later.
Okay. We probably will anyway. All right. Well, listen, I just want to say a big thanks. One quick question with the cortisol and the loss of sleep and the menopause. Go ahead. What were you going to say?
Yeah, the cortisol thing. Yeah, we did not get a chance to do that. If you have gotten yourself into that parasympathetic state, cortisol is one of the hormones that doesn't work during that state. In other words, it's balanced then. So what's happening is most people are in what I call survival mode, or fight or flight.
Right.
If you're in fight or flight, you secrete different hormones than that's a sympathetic state, than when you do in a parasympathetic state, which is rest and digest. Different hormones. So if we get the melatonin, the serotonin going, the oxytocin, which is the hug hormone, which is kind of hard to do right now, but those kind of hormones are secreted, the cortisol is at rest.
Gotcha.
So that's going to be our key with you, is getting you into a parasympathetic state of a rest and digest. So you can secrete the other hormones that will help you, relax and chill out.
Okay, so this chat today is going to be recorded. So if somebody missed it, they can catch it later on.
Yes, ma'am. I'll go ahead and make sure I put it in the group.
Okay.
All right.
So I'm not sure, how do we leave this? Do we just press leave the meeting and say thank you? If you were able to watch it now, great. If you want to watch it later, great. This information is available, and I hope that we can tap into lots of different people who do many, many different things that are really specific to this age group.
Yes.
I mean, the 50-year-olds, some of the 50s still have kids at home. Mine are grown up. There's all kinds of different situations that we're in
Yeah.
So, yeah. So hopefully we have something to offer each other.
Yes, I think we do.
So I'm just going to say thank you, and
Thank you.
we will see you soon. Thanks, Lisa.
Thank
All right,
you.
bye.
Bye-bye.